As I look at my life through the lens of faith, I cannot help but believe, to see that my whole life has been prepared. That in God's providence, my whole life has prepared me for this opportunity, for this responsibility at the Parish of St. Anne in Peoria's historic South Side. A preparation which goes back to the very beginning, of course, in my mother's womb, like Jeremiah, but also into that small town community of Tremont, Illinois, where I was blessed to grow up with my mom, my dad, and my 3 brothers. I was prepared there in a special way as a paperboy delivering the Pekin Daily Times, encountering people a lot older than me, a lot different than me. I think especially of Ralph and Frances Parkers, who lived just down the street, whose paper I delivered. And as a young boy, 12, 13 years old, I would finish my route and go into their house and sit with Ralph and his wife, Fran, and just talk, hearing about World War II that Ralph fought in, hearing about Fran working with the telephone company. My heart was formed, little did I know, then and there to love in a celibate way. A formation which continued in working for my grandfather and my father at the Tremont Super Value, where once again, whether it was cleaning the meat block in the back, stocking shelves, carrying groceries out to cars, making ham salad, or being the face of the Super Value as the cashier, I once again came into contact with many people, this time a whole community. And as a high school student, would visit Jo Callahan after her husband Ray passed away. Would visit Elaine Ogden and her husband Grover, who had his legs amputated. Once again, little did I know, there at the Super Value in Tremont, my heart was being formed to love celibately. When I went off to college, not too far, Illinois Central College, Harvard on the Hill, that formation continued. But this time really a formation of faith, not charity, because I didn't grow up with a strong faith. But there at ICC, I met my very first Catholic friends, the Gomez family, and through them a mutual friend who invited me as an almost 20-year-old man to Teens Encounter Christ at the Spalding Center here in Peoria. I was reluctant to go, but for her, I went. That retreat opened my eyes and my heart to God. It was a real encounter. I would have told you I was Catholic, but it wasn't until then where I was really moved to begin praying, going to Mass even if my family didn't, going to the Sacrament of Reconciliation. I now understood its power and its need. I began after Tech to really intentionally live my Catholic faith. And in learning about vocations, God's will, I began with this open heart to God to ask Him, what is it that you want me to do? I began praying the rosary on the streets of Tremont. And on those rosary walks, I remember specifically on James Street, turning the corner from North Street, beginning to think of Ralph and Frances and Elaine Ogden, the Jo Callahans, and God using that to also make me think of being a priest. God used that childhood formation in helping me to see, to sense, I made you to be a priest. I finally went into seminary, and my interior life and my formation, of course, continued. My preparation to priesthood. And a big part of my preparation was reading Mother Teresa's Come Be My Light in the fall of 2007, and eventually beginning to labor, to serve the poor, with the Missionaries of Charity here in Peoria, and eventually in places like Chicago, Baltimore, and even Washington, D.C. The sisters really did witness to me how to pray. They taught me how to pray, in praying with them and watching them. But they also helped me to encounter the poor and to fall in love with the poor. My entire seminary formation, I was always surrounded by the Missionaries of Charity. The poor always surrounded me in my preparation. When I was ordained in 2013, one of the things that excited me the most about going to Rock Island was I knew there was a refugee community up there. The poor. Earlier this year, I had a sense it was time for me to leave Rock Island. It was time to embrace a new assignment. I felt really a call to return to the source of my vocation, and specifically to return to the poor. I'd been the assistant for a number of years at St. Pius X, a very large, almost kind of suburban parish at the top of the hill. I'd been highly involved in a Catholic elementary, junior high school, a chaplain of a high school, Catholic high school, and a Catholic chaplain at a Lutheran college, Augustana. But I felt a desire, a call to return to the poor. Little did I know the Lord was preparing me to return to the poor, to be amongst the poor here at the parish of St. Anne in Peoria's historic South Side. I am incredibly excited to be here at this parish. It is a parish that has a dynamic community. I received an immense welcome my very first weekend. And I know there is a great desire for mission specifically to our South Side community. That the graces we receive here in this beautiful church might overflow more and more into our homes, our workplaces, but also into the streets here in the South Side.